Alliances in the cultivation world were never forged by trust, only by fear, necessity, and the quiet exchange of lives for survival. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. The cultivation world of the Heavenly South region was thrown into upheaval once more. Aside from those already privy to Han Li's relationship with Nanggongwan, every nascent soul cultivator who received the invitation was taken aback. Yet given Han Li's thunderous reputation, none dared decline. The three other great cultivators of the region were all in seclusion and unable to attend in person, but they each dispatched their disciples bearing rare and precious gifts in their stead. In the days leading up to the ceremony, it was said that the skies above the dream cloud mountains shimmered beneath a radiant canopy of five-colored light. Ethereal palaces of brilliance materialized upon the peaks as if born from the void itself. Under the influence of powerful restrictions, every plant across the mountain range bloomed in unison, transforming the dream cloud mountains into a realm that seemed torn straight from the heavens. The three sects residing within the dream cloud mountains, along with several nearby minor sects eager to curry favor with Han Li, labored tirelessly in preparation. The result was a spectacle even grander and more resplendent than the celebration that had once marked Han Li's ascension to great cultivator status. Beyond the invited members of the major sects, numerous cultivators from lesser factions and renowned wandering cultivators also arrived, each bearing their own offerings. Over the course of several days, between 5,000 to 6,000 cultivators gathered around the Dream Cloud Mountains, most of them high-grade practitioners. It was without question the most magnificent ceremony the Heavenly South region had witnessed in the past millennium, and yet such grandeur was hardly surprising. When Han Li had first risen to the rank of great cultivator, many had attended his celebration, but not without skepticism lingering in their hearts. At the time, three other great cultivators still stood in the region. However, after the sparring match held during that ceremony, Han Li had undeniably established himself as the foremost cultivator of the Heavenly South region. Rumor had it that he could face two great cultivators simultaneously and still emerge with ease, an unsettling thought that cast a long shadow over every sect. It meant that, unburdened by concern for his own sect, Han Li alone possessed the power to crush any cultivation force in the region. No sect could boast more than two great cultivators. As such, there was no force in the Heavenly South region capable of standing against him. Thus, regardless of past affiliations, every sect sent representatives in hopes of forging stronger ties with the Drifting Cloud section. As for the wandering high-grade cultivators, they came seeking the chance to meet this unparalleled figure, hoping for even a word of guidance. Countless cultivators converged upon the Dream Cloud Mountains, turning the occasion into a gathering destined to be remembered for ages. Yet, Han Li and Nanggongwan themselves remained absent for most of the ceremony. They appeared only briefly, offering a few words of gratitude before formally exchanging cups of wine as bride and groom, then quietly departing. All that followed was left in Luluo's capable hands. Rising splendidly to the occasion, he ensured that, even in the absence of the ceremony's central figures, the festivities remained vibrant and full of life. The celebration continued for 3 to 4 days, before finally drawing to a close. Most of the guests began to disperse, but a small number chose to remain. At the summit of the main peak, Han Li stood beside Nanggongwan, clad in white. Neither spoke, yet the silence between them carried more meaning than 1,000 words ever could. After a long while, Nanggongwan gently brushed a few loose strands of hair behind her ear and turned toward him, her lips curving into a radiant smile. It seems every cloud truly does have a silver lining. Through cultivating the youthful celestial moon, I finally advanced to the mid-nascent soul stage. Of course I owe you my thanks as well. The imperial elixir you gave me spared me at least a dozen years of arduous cultivation. Without it, I might still be trapped within that seal. Her gaze lingered on him, shimmering with warmth. But what surprises me even more is you, reaching the late nascent soul stage so quickly. With your current strength, as long as you don't encounter those old monsters of the deity transformation stage, you should be invincible in the mortal world. Shouldn't you? Hanley smiled faintly, his expression calm. Invincible, I wouldn't dare claim such a thing. There may yet be another nascent soul cultivator who surpasses me. Nangong Wan let out a soft musical laugh. I don't believe that for a moment. Still, what truly shocked me was how insidious that soul seal curse was. I thought the inner core of the ancient flame Toad would dispel it, but who could have guessed there were hidden restrictions lying dormant within me all along. Thankfully, the proper method was used beforehand. Otherwise, the consequences would have been dire. Her eyes glimmered with a captivating, almost intoxicating light. Hanley turned toward her, a gentle smile touching his lips. That burden weighed heavily on me as well. It seems my journey to the great Gene was not in vain. After this, you should take the nascent cultivating pill one gave you. With its aid, reaching the late nascent soul stage may not be impossible. Nangong Wan raised an eyebrow, a hint of doubt in her expression. Is that pill truly so miraculous? Hanley chuckled softly. Many mid-nascent soul cultivators in the great Jin lost their lives for it. Do you think they would do so for nothing? She pursed her lips, a playful smile blooming. Very well. Once I stabilize my current cultivation, I'll take it and attempt another breakthrough. As her eyes sparkled with renewed determination, Hanley found himself momentarily entranced by her beauty. Memories of their recent intimacy surfaced, unbidden, stirring a sudden heat deep within him. Just as he was about to speak, his expression shifted. His gaze turned sharply toward the distant sky. Nangong Wan followed suit, her brows knitting slightly. Moments later, a streak of white light pierced through the distant restrictions, flying straight toward them. A flicker of recognition flashed in Han Li's eyes. The light circled once before descending, dissipating to reveal a graceful figure it was. Mu Pailing. Mu Pailing greets my lord and big sister Nangong. She bowed respectfully. Little sister Peeling, Nangong Wan said with a gentle smile. Why rush here after the ceremony has ended? Has something occurred that Senior Marshal Brother Lu cannot handle? Mu Pailing hesitated briefly before replying. There are still some guests who have yet to depart. They claim to be acquaintances of my lord and wish to see him. Senior Marshal Brother Lu was uncertain whether my lord would receive them, so he sent me to ask. If not, he will send them away. Acquaintances. Nangong Wan cast Hanlia sidelong glance, amusement dancing in her eyes. Could they happen to be beautiful female cultivators? Mu Pailing lowered her gaze, then nodded. Yes, they are all women. Oh, Nangong Wan's lips curved teasingly. It seems your old flames have come calling. Hanli coughed awkwardly. Please don't joke like that, Wanna. Pailing, did they give their names? They did. One is a woman from the Ghost Spirit sect with the surname Yan, accompanied by 2 elders. The others are Han Yunji from the Controlling Spirit sect and Dong Xuana from the Harmonious Bond section. Hanli paused, slightly taken aback. Them. Nangong Wan chuckled softly. So they truly are acquaintances. You should go meet them. It would be impolite to keep them waiting. After a brief moment of thought, Han Li nodded. These are acquaintances from long before I reached the nascent soul stage. I should see them. Piling. Inform Senior Marshal Brother Lu that I'll be there shortly. Have them wait in separate guest pavilions. I will meet them individually. Yes, with another bow. Mu Pailing departed in a streak of white light. Hanli watched her leave, a faint furrow appearing between his brows. Noticing this, Nangong Wan smiled. What troubles you are you dissatisfied with? Little sister Peeling. He shook his head. No, I simply don't understand why you chose to accept her as your sister. I had intended for her to become your disciple. Nangung Wan's voice softened. What's wrong with that? I only wish to pursue the great Tao with you. I have no interest in taking disciples. Besides, her past resembles mine in many ways, and I find myself fond of her. Rather than placing her in the awkward role of a disciple, I thought it better to accept her as a sister. She paused, her tone turning gently teasing. That way, whether you choose to make her your concubine or your disciple in the future, no one will dare speak against it. Han Li sighed faintly. Very well, as you wish. I'll go meet the guests now. Don't take too long, Nangung Wan said softly. I'll be waiting for you in my cave abode. A wry smile touched Han Li's lips. Wanya, your youthful celestial moon cultivation art is quite troublesome. The power of the yin moon it requires is harmful to others, meaning no one can cultivate near you. It's a pity we can't share the same cave abode. While cultivating, a trace of apology appeared on her face. I didn't anticipate that when I chose it. It's only a small regret, he reassured her. We're only apart during cultivation. Our abodes are close. We can still be together. Otherwise, he paused, then added softly, I'll return soon. With that, Han Li transformed into a streak of azure light and vanished from the peak. Mu Peiling stood quietly outside one of the many guest pavilions within the drifting cloud sect, her gaze drifting now and then toward the distant horizon. Without warning, a streak of azure light tore across the sky, flashing from afar before descending in the blink of an eye before the pavilion. The moment Han Li appeared, Mu Peiling stepped forward at once and lowered her voice. Mu Peiling greets my lord. The cultivators from the Ghost Spirit sect are currently resting inside this pavilion. As for the other two women, they are in the building just over there. Han Li cast a brief glance at the pavilion behind her, then toward the nearby structure she indicated. His expression remained calm as he gave a slight nod. Very well, you may go. Mu Peiling performed a respectful curtsy before transforming into a streak of white light and departing. Han Li's figure swayed subtly, and in the next instant, he was already standing at the pavilion's entrance. His spiritual sense swept silently through the interior before he stepped inside at an unhurried pace. Within the main hall on the first floor, two men and a woman were seated together, deep in discussion. One of the men was a gaunt figure clad in yellow robes, while the other was an elderly man whose complexion was unnaturally pale. Their companion was a young woman of striking beauty, appearing no older than 20, Xianxia. The three were clearly engaged in an intense conversation, urgency flickering unmistakably within their eyes. The moment Han Li entered, all three turned toward him in unison. Surprise and delight surged across their faces as they hurriedly rose to greet him. Yet before they could utter a single word, Han Li had already appeared in a wooden chair, across from them as if he had always been there. With a casual wave of his hand, he said, There's no need for formalities, fellow Taoists. Please sit. None of them had the slightest idea how he had crossed the distance so effortlessly. The elderly man's heart gave a slight jolt, but he quickly masked it with a polite smile and nodded. The three of them sat once more. Han Li's gaze fell upon the young woman before him. She had grown even more radiant since their last meeting. A faint smile touched his lips. It has been a long time, Fairy Yan. You've finally reached the nascent soul stage. From now on, we may regard one another as equals. Xianxia, once hailed as the foremost female cultivator of her generation in the state of Yui, had indeed stepped into the nascent soul stage. Thank you for your kind words, fellow Taoist Han, she replied, studying him with a complex expression. I have only just entered this stage, while you have already risen to become the foremost cultivator of the Heavenly South region. How could I possibly compare? She paused briefly before continuing. I have come today to ask for your help. Brother Han. Han Li merely smiled, offering no immediate reply. Instead, his gaze shifted toward the other two, eventually settling on the elderly man. "You must be Elder Zhong. I recall seeing you once from afar, in Devil Fall Valley. I never imagined Brother Han would remember someone as insignificant as me," the elderly man said with an awkward chuckle. Han Li's tone turned direct, devoid of embellishment. "The Ghost Spirit sect appears to be in a rather precarious situation. All three of you hold significant positions within your sect, so why come all this way to see me, instead of remaining in the state of Yue to safeguard it?" Caught off guard by his bluntness, Yana and the two elders exchanged uncertain glances, hesitation evident in their expressions. A faint crease appeared between Han Li's brows, a trace of displeasure surfacing. Sensing this, the two men felt their hearts tighten. Both instinctively turned toward Yana. After a brief pause, she finally spoke. "Fellow Taoist Han, we have come to seek assistance from your sect." "No, from you personally. Our Ghost Spirit sect is facing a dire crisis. Without your help, we may not survive much longer." "You want my help?" Han Li raised an eyebrow, a faint, almost mocking smile tugging at his lips. The yellow-robed man hurriedly interjected. "I know our sect has wronged you in the past, Brother Han, but sect leader Wang alone was responsible for that matter, and he perished long ago in Devil Fall Valley. The Ghost Spirit sect is no longer under the control of the Wang family." "Is that so?" Han Li asked coolly. "Yet I seem to recall that Wang Chan is still alive and well within your sect. Am I mistaken?" At this, both Yana and the elderly man stiffened slightly. The yellow-robed man, though surprised by Han Li's knowledge, forced a smile. "Rest assured, Brother Han, Marshal nephew Wang Chan committed a grave error not long ago. He has been stripped of his authority and confined to the Repentance Cave. He will not be released for at least 100 years." "Repentance, you say?" Han Li murmured, his gaze shifting thoughtfully. He looked from Yana to the yellow-robed man, a hint of realization flickering in his eyes. "I don't believe we've met, but you bear some resemblance to Fairy Yan. May I ask your name?" The yellow-robed man hesitated, then answered truthfully. "You have keen insight, Brother Han. I am also from the Yan family, Yana's uncle." Yana gave a small nod in confirmation. Han Li stroked his chin, his voice taking on a subtle edge. "So, the Yan family now has two nascent soul cultivators. I take it you are the ones currently in control of the Ghost Spirit sect." The yellow-robed man glanced briefly at Elder Zhang before replying cautiously. "It would not be entirely incorrect to say so, though the responsibility fell upon our Yan family only after Senior Marshal Brother Zhong insisted upon it." The elderly man gave a wry smile. "The Wang family proved unfit to lead. It was only natural for the Yan family to step forward." "Is that so?" Han Li replied absent-mindedly, falling into silence as his eyes narrowed in thought. The three from the Ghost Spirit sect did not dare interrupt him. Yana appeared deep in contemplation, while the two men sat stiffly, unease gnawing at their hearts. Before them stood the most powerful cultivator in the Heavenly South region, a man who once bore a grudge against their sect. Though times had changed, they would be lying if they claimed to feel no apprehension in his presence. If not for the fact that their sect stood at the brink of ruin, they would never have dared come here. In all of the Heavenly South region, only Han Li could save them. At last, Han Li spoke again, his voice cool. "Even if the past had never happened, what makes you think I would help your Ghost Spirit sect?" Yana turned to him at once, while the two men felt a surge of barely contained excitement. There was a possibility in his tone. The yellow-robed man drew a deep breath. "Brother Han, if you are willing to help us, our Ghost Spirit sect will withdraw entirely from the state of Yue, leaving it to the other sects. All we seek now is survival. In return, we have brought several offerings, ones we hope will interest you." He patted his storage pouch, A flash of white light followed, and 3 items appeared upon the table: a crimson bracelet, a porcelain vial, and a green wooden box. Hanlai regarded them indifferently. With a subtle gesture, the 3 items lifted into the air and landed in his hand. At that moment, Xianxia's clear, pleasant voice rang out. "The porcelain vial contains our sect's sacred medicine, the blood limb pill. Its sole effect is regeneration. Even a completely severed limb can be restored, as before. The ingredients are exceedingly rare. Our sect possesses only a dozen in total, and 3 are in that vial." She gestured toward the bracelet. "As for this crimson bracelet, it is a lesser-known devilish treasure, passed down through generations of sect leaders. After sect leader Wang's death, Elder Zhang reclaimed it. Though it cannot attack directly, it can nurture yin spirits and blood ghosts. With the aid of the blood qi it gathers, those entities can grow rapidly stronger before being unleashed in battle." Her gaze then shifted to the wooden box, her eyes glinting with something unreadable. "And as for the final item, it is the most precious of all." She paused deliberately before continuing. "I have heard that you cultivate a wood attribute technique, Brother Han. The item within this box is none other than a legendary wood spirit bead, one of the 5 elemental spirit gathering beads." Han Li's calm facade shattered instantly. "A spirit gathering bead? You mean the treasures that attract one type of elemental qi while repelling all others?" Xianxia nodded. "Exactly. Though similar in name to spirit gathering formations, their effectiveness is worlds apart. As for how they compare to spirit wells, if the attribute matches, even the finest spirit wells cannot rival such a bead." Han Li's gaze lingered on the green wooden box. A yellow restriction talisman sealed it, concealing its contents. After a moment, he exhaled softly. A wave of azure light swept across the box, dislodging the talisman. At the same time, his finger shot forward like lightning, tapping lightly against the lid. The wooden cover flew open of its own accord. A faint fragrance of grass and aged wood drifted into the air the moment the box was opened. Within it, a soft, shimmering green radiance pulsed gently, and nestled at its center lay a thumb-sized bead, translucent, verdant, and alive with quiet brilliance. Han Li extended his spiritual sense toward it, only to discover that it was neither stone, nor wood, nor any material he could readily identify. The instant the bead was revealed, an abundant surge of wood attribute spiritual qi flooded the surroundings. With a single breath, Han Li felt as though every fiber of his being had been refreshed, as if a long-forgotten vitality had awakened within him. He lifted the bead delicately between his fingers, studying it in silence for a moment before turning his gaze toward Xianxia. "This is indeed a spirit-gathering bead," he said calmly. "Such treasures appeared even in ancient times, though none can say whether they were born of nature or forged by hand. It has been ages since one surfaced in the cultivation world. I did not expect your sect to possess such a thing." His eyes lingered faintly on her. "Fairy Yan, is your ghost spirit sect truly willing to part with such a treasure for a cultivator of the wood attribute? This bead would more than double their cultivation speed." Xianxia met his gaze without wavering, her expression composed yet resolute. "This bead is indeed exceedingly rare in the human world," she admitted, "but compared to the survival of our sect, it is insignificant. Moreover, as you likely already know, our ghost spirit sect has almost no wood attribute cultivation arts. In our hands, this treasure serves little purpose. It is far wiser to exchange it for a chance at survival." Han Li nodded slightly, yet his tone remained measured. "This spirit-gathering bead is indeed of great use to me. However, if you expect me to intervene and protect your sect, there is something else you must do." He paused, then shook his head faintly. "Otherwise, I cannot agree." At once, the yellow-robed man's eyes lit up with urgency. "What is it?" "As long as it is within our means, We will do everything in our power to fulfill it. Han Li turned towards him, his gaze steady and unyielding. I have no interest in the rest of the Wang family, but Wang Chan, I do not wish to see him alive. His voice was calm, yet carried an unmistakable finality. I will not extend my protection to an enemy of mine. Do you understand? A heavy silence fell. Elder Zhong's expression shifted subtly, while Yan Yana's face paled ever so slightly. The yellow-robed man, however, seemed less surprised, only quiet. After a moment he nodded. I understand, Brother Han. This will not be an issue. He turned to the elderly man beside him. What do you think, Senior Marshal Brother Zhong? A trace of conflict flickered across Elder Zhong's face. He hesitated for a long while before finally letting out a faint sigh. If Brother Han insists, then Marshal Nephew Wang Chan will surely be willing to sacrifice himself for the sake of the sect. In that case, the yellow-robed man said firmly, I accept this condition on behalf of the Ghost Spirit Sect. Throughout the exchange, he did not once consult Yan Yana, nor even glance in her direction. Her face remained pale, yet she voiced no objection. Very well, Han Li said with a slight nod. I will accept your offerings. I shall also personally write to the controlling Spirit Sect and the other factions. At these words, the yellow-robed man was overjoyed. Their purpose in coming here had been achieved. Without lingering, the three rose to take their leave. Han Li made no move to stop them, merely watching in silence as they departed. Yan Yana was the last to leave. At the threshold, her steps faltered. She turned back, her gaze resting on Han Li, complex, unreadable. Her lips parted slightly, as if to speak, yet no words came. In the end, she let out a quiet sigh, heavy with resignation, before turning away and disappearing beyond the doorway. A subtle shift passed through Han Li's expression as he watched her go. He said nothing. Instead, his gaze lowered slowly to the three treasures, resting upon the table. Once the three Ghost Spirit Sect cultivators had left the drifting Cloud Sect, they rose into the sky as streaks of light, swiftly departing the Dream Cloud Mountains. Only after they had traveled some distance did Elder Zhong finally let out a quiet sigh. Junior Marshal Brother Yan, must we truly kill Marshal Nephew Wang? The yellow-robed man's expression hardened, though his voice remained steady. I do not wish for it either. Senior Marshal Brother Zhong, but Han Li has made his demand clear. We cannot afford hesitation. He continued, his tone growing resolute. Besides, he has not asked us to eradicate the Wang family entirely. Senior Marshal Brother Wang has more than one son the family will endure. Compared to what he could have demanded, this is already lenient. A faint bitterness crept into his voice. After all, the Wang family wronged him deeply. I've heard that Wang Chan nearly killed him back, when he had yet to reach the nascent soul stage. Under such circumstances, is it really surprising that he seeks Wang Chan's life? He paused briefly before adding, in my view, we should go further, expel all disciples of the Wang family from the sect. Only then can we demonstrate our sincerity. Han Li may have agreed to help us, but if he were to change his mind— He did not finish the sentence. Elder Zhong fell silent, his face clouded with hesitation. The yellow-robed man then turned toward Yana, who had remained silent all this time. Yana, I'm sorry it has come to this, but you must have anticipated such a possibility when you were once engaged to Wang Chan. Now that you have reached the nascent soul stage, while he has not, he is no longer worthy of you. His voice softened slightly. Moreover, the Wang family once turned against our Yan family, placing restrictions upon all of our high-grade cultivators, including you. I was spared only because I was cultivating in seclusion at the time. Their betrayal cannot be ignored. He looked at her carefully. In light of that, you need not concern yourself with Wang Chan's fate. Yan Yana's expression remained distant, her voice calm yet tinged with quiet sorrow. I understand all of that, uncle, but he is still my Dao companion. How can I openly approve of this." She paused, then spoke softly. "Once we return to the sect, I will enter seclusion for 100 years. There is no need to inform me of what becomes of Wang Chan or the Wang family." With that, her figure surged forward, accelerating through the sky and leaving the two men behind. The yellow-robed man could only sigh helplessly. Elder Zhong remained silent for a long time, before finally speaking. "If this is what benefits the sect, then do as you see fit with the Wang family. Rest assured, Senior Marshal Brother Zhong, I will handle everything properly." The elderly man merely shook his head, his mood visibly dim. The yellow-robed man paid it no mind. He knew well that Elder Zhong had known Wang Chan and his father far longer. It was only natural he would feel this way. After a moment, however, a trace of regret surfaced in his voice. "It is still a pity that we gave away the spirit." Gathering Bead, Elder Zhong let out a cold chuckle. "Do you truly believe that Bead belonged to our section?" The yellow-robed man blinked in surprise. "What do you mean? Didn't you personally retrieve it from our treasury?" "I cannot say whether it originally belonged to us," Elder Zhong replied slowly. "But I can tell you this, the bead was given to me by Old Devil Concord." "Old Devil Concord," the yellow-robed man repeated, bewildered. "That's right. Not long ago he came to me with that bead. He claimed it had once been lent by our sect to the Harmonious Bond section. More importantly, he hinted that Grand Elder Han of the Drifting Cloud sect was the only one who could save us, and that this bead would be the perfect offering." He cast a meaningful glance. "Does that not strike you as peculiar?" The yellow-robed man's expression shifted at once. "Even if the bead once belonged to us, Old Devil Concord would never return it out of goodwill. Could there be something wrong with it?" "There is nothing wrong with the bead itself," Elder Zhong replied firmly. "I have examined it many times. It matches the legendary wood spirit bead in every aspect. Otherwise, I would never have offered it to Han Li. But Old Devil Concord would never act without ulterior motives," the yellow-robed man exclaimed, growing visibly unsettled. "You should have discussed this with me first. If anything goes wrong, our entire sect—" "Humph," Elder Zhong cut him off coldly. "What other choice did we have? How else were we to secure the aid of the strongest cultivator in the Heavenly South region?" His gaze hardened. "And if I had consulted, you would it have changed anything? Was there any other path left to us?" The yellow-robed man fell silent, unable to respond. After a long pause, he exhaled slowly. "What's done is done. As long as there is nothing wrong with the bead itself, we should be safe even if something happens later." "Exactly," Elder Zhong said with a faint, cold smile. "The spirit-gathering bead is a renowned treasure even from ancient times. Should anything arise, we can easily shift the blame elsewhere." He let out a quiet chuckle. "Besides, even the foremost cultivator of the Heavenly South region has confirmed its authenticity. Whatever happens next will have nothing to do with us." The yellow-robed man pondered for a moment before sighing. "Still, to be safe, we should close our sect for 100 years after relocation." "A wise decision," Elder Zhong agreed. Without further discussion, the two elders accelerated forward, chasing after Yan Yanu. Meanwhile, deep within a restricted zone of the Harmonious Bond sect, a humanoid figure sat cross-legged upon a massive rock at the heart of the Heavenly Yang pond. Dense grey mist blanketed the surroundings, obscuring all. Within that suffocating silence, the figure murmured to itself, "It should have reached that Han brat by now." A low, eerie chuckle followed. "With that wood spirit bead, your cultivation will soar, but when you reach the bottleneck of the deity transformation stage—" The laughter deepened, echoing faintly through the mist. "Haha, let us see how you break through."